Well, I'm excited to have author Ronie Kendig with us today. Ronie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So tell us about the types of books you write.
I write paramilitary suspense, born out of being an Army brat. I've always been around that community, so that was very important to me to write about our veterans, our soldiers out there serving. But I also write space operas.
What is a space opera?
It's Dune, Star Wars, those are all space operas.
Okay.
It's just, they're melodramatic, they're not hard sci-fi. I like it because I love to bring in like medieval elements into my stories, and I can do that in a space opera.
Okay, and do you do your own language?
I am not on the level of Tolkien, no. But what I do love, I love to go and find more archaic languages and tweak the letters to make them something that works in my head. So in that respect, people are like, how do you get all these really unique names? And in my space opera, I have a race of beings called the Dragus, and they are very guttural and kind of almost like the Germanic, but I used, I think, the Urdu language.
So is there a lot of that in Christian fiction, or are you kind of
not
kind of alone in that?
Yeah,
or?
there's not. It's a really hard sell in Christian fiction, and I totally get that. I grew up. My mom was very concerned about, of course, honoring the Lord in our lives. So like I wasn't allowed to see E.T. or Star Wars because wizards and powers that weren't, if it wasn't in the Bible, and people are like, oh, but at the same time, I respect that because it taught me to examine things before I embraced them. So, but that it is a hard sell in the Christian world.
How did you know you wanted to become a writer? When was that moment?
I think I joke that I've been telling stories since I was a little girl with my Barbies. But I remember when I'd just been newly married and I just started noodling in a notebook. And my husband noticed I was doing a lot. I didn't even notice. It was just something I did. It was kind of my therapy, my downtime. And he bought me one of these little word processors that had the little windows, that you could pop up. And I was writing a story and I showed my mom some of it, and she just was like, ah! And I was like, what's wrong with it? And she was like, how do you do this? And I was just like, I don't know, I just like doing it. So I guess that's a roundabout way of saying I kind of have always done it. Mm-hmm. So my husband, I didn't actually want to get published because I was afraid it would take my love of writing away. But my husband pushed me and encouraged me to do that. So because of him, I got published.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. It's like if you're forced to do something, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah, and you got to kind of manage that. And Tracy Peterson was just asking me. She said you got to really know why you're writing to get past a lot of the hurdles that come up. And so I've been just thinking about how much I just love to write. I love the creative process. It's just relaxing to me.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you plot your characters and come up with who they are? And I'm very, there's two types of writers. There's the people who, the plotters, the pantsers, but there's also character-driven authors and more plot-driven authors and stories. And I've always been character, and I go really deep into it, and usually I'll have some seed germ of an idea for the character, and I'll just start digging in and just kind of think, no, that doesn't quite feel right. Susie May Warren actually has a fabulous kind of diagram that she uses, and when I discovered that, I now use that all the time. And it talks about, I've nicknamed the wound, the want, and the whopper. So the wound in their life, what they want it right now, and the lie they believe that drives everything. And so, of course, go a lot deeper than that. There's a book, Victoria Lynn Schmidt, called 45 Master Characters, and it's based off of the Jungian archetypes. And I like that just because I was a psychology major, so that's a really cool way. But then, of course, being in the fantastical worlds, you've got to have a little bit of oddity to them. You've got to have this element that you wouldn't find in the human world. So that's kind of fun too. But excellent. So how can people learn more about you? Where can they go to I am most often on Instagram,
Okay.
and just at Kendig Ronie, and I'm also on Facebook. I've got a website, roniekendig.com, and of course on Amazon and all those places.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
You know, there's so many fantastic Christian authors out there, and Ronie is one of them. So make sure you check out her website and her Instagram and Facebook, and read one of her space operas. No, wait, space opera? No, wait,
Yeah,
is that what you call it? Okay.
yeah.
All of a sudden I had a moment of panic. No, wait, it's not a space opera.
Yep.
But, okay.
It sounds silly, but yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.